I wanted to show one last little thing on the interface before I close out of here, and that is something that's new to the OctoBanger project, and that would be the whole philosophy of frames per second and the way that it stores the memory and sends it to the Arduino. But in the old project, when you'd right click on your controller tab or your controller node of this tree view here, that's where you would set the frames per second, but you'll notice that it doesn't show frames per second anymore, and that's because I've got it so that it's always going to be 20 frames per second now. But you'll also see that we've actually got 5 minutes worth of time for our maximum duration here now. And the way that the data used to get stored in the old project made it so that it was proportional to your resolution. So that what that meant is if you wanted to have a longer sequence, you had to sacrifice your resolution. But the way that I'm sending the memory over to the Arduino now, you don't really have to have that sacrifice. So if I wanted to, let's say, here I'll make it a little bit longer here, but say I wanted to add a bunch of additional frames, you can see there's a little frame counter right here. You've got up to 500 frames that you can use for your entire sequence duration, and you can see that if you wanted to, you could make events all over the place. Here, I'll shrink this down even more. But, I mean, you're going to have to really go out of your way in order to create 500 frames worth of event data. You're pretty much going to have something going on each one of your channels continually. You can see, let's see. Yeah. So there now I've got a total of 206 frames, out of our 500 available. And, well, here, I'll just keep going and show you what it takes to basically hit your maximum frame count. I mean, and actually you can see here that this isn't moving, and that's because these frames wouldn't even be getting used because they're beyond the end of my sequence. But you can see if I set the end of the sequence there to where they're still used, now it tells me that I've got 266 frames used so far. But that's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm barely at half of my maximum allocation of frames that I can use. So pretty much what I'm trying to say here is that you can have a 5-minute maximum sequence duration now, and you can pretty much do whatever you want all over the place, and it'll be able to handle it. So that's cool. And then another thing that's changed here is you'll see on the audio it's got 2 different colors here, and that's because it actually splits the audio into left and right. So I'm just going to go out and I'm going to change this to let's see. Let me see if I can find one that's got a good left and right. Let me see if my metronome does that. Nope. I used this metronome when I was testing the timing. Here, I'm gonna go out and I am going to find something that I know that has a definite left and right. Here, I'm going to fire up some AC/DC here, because I know AC/DC's got some left and right going on. Okay, here you can see that's actually, this audio right here, that's all going to come out of the left channel, and then you can see where the guitar kicks in right here. Let's see. Yeah. So anyway, what I'm getting at on this little blip is if you've got an audio track that has some real distinct left and right, you can actually you can use the and this was in the OctoBanger or the 4-banger, but I'm going to go ahead and click Visualize Peaks here, and Right now I've got it set to be visualizing on the left, or I could click here and it'll do it on the right now. So you can see, I'll go ahead and I won't go into too much detail about this, but say I wanted to do my motor in sequence with the right hand events on this at that threshold. You know, I just did that. So I'll let you guys play around with that, but I just kind of wanted to show that that's one of the significant differences of this new project compared to the four-banger one, which had, you know, a mono representation of the audio, but now you've got both channels to kind of play around with. So I'll go ahead and let's see, I'll go ahead and turn that off. But yeah, that's kind of just something new that I wanted to make sure that people would be conscious of and play around with. So check it out and see how it goes.